As an Aussie-born Chinese, these are 4 things about China that genuinely make Australia feel outdated. My dad immigrated from China to Australia in the 80s, and China has drastically changed since then. It has become so technologically advanced. I'm sure you've seen the videos of the amazing buildings, but these are the everyday things that I think is amazing. The first thing is that China is genuinely a cashless society, and if you visited there recently, you would know that you will not get far if you don't have WeChat Pay or Alipay. People don't even carry cash anymore because even small street vendors like market sellers, they all have WeChat or Alipay, and everything is electronic transfers. So if you do go to China, please make sure you download those apps and put your cards on them because you will be stuck and stranded otherwise. Australia has kind of moved to a more cashless society. Most people pay with cards nowadays, but we still have cash as a valid form of currency. Although I feel like they're trying to get rid of cash because I feel like it's easier to track payments and fraud and things with no cash. So that's probably why China did it. Not to say that China doesn't have cash at all. It is sometimes used, but most places just don't take it. So I would just recommend carrying some cash on you, but not relying it as a main form of payment. Everyone has seen the videos about the crazy technology, cyberpunk looking buildings with all the lights and the LEDs. And I did see this really amazing light show in Sealhing, which is the town that my dad's from. I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. It was better than the Hong Kong light show. And it was just like a small, like kind of small town, like not a very popular town or anything. But let's harken it back to traditional Chinese architecture because I went to visit my dad's village. We went to Baisan to pray to our ancestors for the Qingming festival, and we visited my grandparents' or great-grandparents' old buildings. And literally, the buildings had these very intricate, beautiful designs of like stone birds, and of course you've got the lions at the front, and just beautiful architecture. And it's no wonder that China is amazing at building things. Everyone knows how modern and cool it looks. I didn't go to Shanghai or any of those like modern cyberpunk cities, but just harkening back to that traditional architecture, it was way ahead of its time. And you've got to remember that China is essentially the longest lasting massive civilization that has existed in the world. It predates ancient Greece, it predates ancient Rome. China was ahead of its game. You do not see that kind of architecture anywhere else. And if you do have the opportunity to look at classical, historical Chinese architecture, would really recommend. And this is just like random places, not even like these grand places. We've all seen Australian buildings. They're pretty stock standard, quite basic, very simple. And we also don't have beautiful like historical buildings either. Like, you know, our historical buildings are maybe 100 or 200 years old because that's how old the country is in Australia. So we don't have like, you know, the beautiful buildings in Europe. But going to China, these old buildings are thousands of years old and they're still standing here to this day. The third thing that amazes me is how catered China is to the elderly population. Now, we all know that China is an aging society, much like Australia, which means that the elderly population is actually outgrowing the younger people. And this means that a lot of things are very accessible to older people. So when I went to Zhenggagai, where we saw the Avatar Mountains, there were escalators, cable cars, all the way up to the mountain, which was insane. And it just meant that elderly people could go and visit these amazing, beautiful places in nature. And you will not see that in Australia. We have beautiful hikes here in Australia, and some of them are paved and beautiful, but if you are restricted in mobility, you're not going to be able to see them because they are very challenging physically. So It's amazing that China has literally built escalators into the mountain. I'm a bit like half on it because coming from an occupational therapy background, I'm an occupational therapist. I love that it's very inclusive for, you know, not as able-bodied people. But a part of me who also loves nature as well, I'm also kind of sad because it does feel like we're commercializing nature and kind of destroying it with man-made structures. So that also makes me upset. But I think the opportunity for people that aren't as able-bodied and they're still able to see this amazing nature is beautiful. The fourth thing that I loved about China is how timely the trains were and how fast the trains were. I live in Sydney, and we all know that the trains in Sydney and the buses are always late or just never working. There's always track work, and it literally takes like an hour to get from one part of Sydney to the other part of Sydney. Not even that far if you drive, like it's probably like 5 kilometers, and it'll probably take an hour because you have to pass through the city to get there if you don't have a direct line. But with China, the bullet trains are crazy fast. I went to Guangzhou, which is in the south in Canton, to Zhengzhou, which is the middle of China, and it's almost like 1,000 kilometers in literally 5 hours. It was crazy. The trains are bang on time, so don't be late because you will miss it.